Hello, Kelly. Thank you for joining the
Yep.
show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. It's always fun with the different times of you just starting your day and us winding down. Just grateful for technology to be able to join us at this time.
Yeah, it's amazing. You cannot really see Wi-Fi, but all of us are using the fruits of it. And some of the things that you cannot see as well are the spirits. And I do know that you run foundation called the Heartspace. And I also know that you have opened Heartspace in 2016 after being guided by a spirit. Could you tell us what was that initial calling and how did it shape the services and offerings of Headspace?
Yeah, of course. So it had been a few years prior, I was in a meditation and clear as day was my first true like clairaudient message. But clear as day was look up healing modalities. You are a healer. And I'm not gonna lie, it actually scared me. I was like, wait, what is this? But I knew it was a voice that it made me uncomfortable, but I knew I could trust it and it was safe to follow. So I pulled out my computer and I Googled healing and I came across Reiki. And when I clicked on it, this huge wave of energy moved through my body. Then I was literally like, okay, what is happening? And I closed the laptop. I tried to pretend like nothing happened. I tried to go about my day as normal. And then 2 days later, I was working out of a bookstore. I was working remotely at the time, the nonprofit. And I was playing on Facebook. And do you remember the times where they had like people you might know and they suggest people for you?
Oh, I
So
do.
this man pokes up and we have groups of mutual friends. And I was just like, everything in my being is, I have to know this person. So I friend requested and I messaged immediately. I was like, this is weird and bold, but I'm a weird and bold person. I know we're meant to be friends. And so we start bantering back and forth. And within 20 minutes, he asks what I'm up to. I tell him where I'm sitting and working. He was walking in the doors of the same bookstore within 20 minutes of talking. So
Oh,
here we are now sitting at a table having tea. I must know this human on Facebook in 20 minutes in the physical. And we're talking. And I said, listen, something happened to me a couple of days ago and I haven't told anyone, but I feel I can tell you. And I was like, I had this moment of meditation and I came across Reiki or something. He goes, it's Reiki. And I was just like, yeah, that sounds way better than what I'm saying. He goes, I guess she's ready. I said, what? You know the cliche saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I said, I'm a Reiki master, so I guess I'll be your first teacher on the journey. And life has never been the same. I started to receive sessions from him. He became my first teacher. And it catapulted this whole path of deep healing in myself and then learning to go into the modalities and a lot of the no longer trying to figure out where to go, but more the steps coming to me. It was shortly after I received the heart space and everything in my being knew that was a mission that I was agreed if I so chose to accept to do. And that's still a lot of the way that I navigate is just receive the assignment, say, okay, I accept, I choose it, and then move forward.
I love it. And I also like to say that all flowers bloom in due time, and it seems that it was your time to bloom. Could you tell me how did it change your life starting the academy and learning the Reiki? How did it change your perception of life and quality?
When learning Reiki and teaching, there's been over 200 students come through at this point, which is wild. We teach that, and what I've learned, you have to remember every day, is that Reiki is not just something that we do. It's not just, okay, I'm going to sit and do Reiki, or someone's going to sit on my table and we're going to do it. It's truly a lifestyle. We're committing to living in the state of being of just for today, I do not worry. And just for today, I do not fear. I honor my parents, my teachers, my elders. I make my living honestly and I show gratitude for everything. And something I've noticed in myself when living in alignment with this and what students will reflect happen for them is it allows the space to just relax and trust the process of life a bit more and let go of that human element of I must try to control and grip on everything and realizing it's all coming together. because an energy that's flowing for the highest good of all is taking place and moving through.
So it's about embracing life in every and all the forms that it might come to us. Since when life happens to us, initially we might not understand it that it's for our greater good. And we as a humans have tendency to fight the universe with our thoughts and emotion that creates friction. And that friction often causes burnout. You practice Headspace Reiki. Could you tell us how different is it from Yuzu Reiki?
Yeah. So when in sessions, I'm still utilizing and rooted in a lot of the traditional Usui Reiki of using the same symbols for those who are new to Reiki, a little very quick. There's different symbols that we utilize in session that I like to say it's like the flashlights where you have the one light beam and then the different color lenses you can put on it, where it's always the same energy we're working with, but each of the symbols give a different little hue and intention woven in. So there's four main symbols we have and then a collection of non-traditional. So in session typically there, but we call it Heartspace Reiki because I've also studied with so many indigenous elders around the world. And I've been blessed of most of my 20s was traveling the world, sitting close to elders. I apprenticed with an indigenous grandmother, sitting with the Dalai Lama and all these leaders. So there's a lot of other energy that's accumulated in teachings within the transmission that is given in session or to students when they're working closer with me.
Could you share more light about the colors of Reiki?
Yeah. So I use that as a are you perhaps familiar with, I don't know where in the world they were, but the old Fisher Price flashlights where you turn it on, it's just like the regular flashlight. And then you could put a slide in for the green and slide in for blue and red, meaning that it's always the same light. It's just shifting the hue of it a bit for a different intention of knowing when to utilize it. Some practitioners are very visual and they may see colors in people they're working with or in their sessions or doing a session on self. I always tell people, and take this if it resonates for anyone out there, if you're ever tuning in with yourself and you're dialing deeper into the chakra system, if there's ever a connection with a color or that you feel or you see that doesn't match the traditionals that are out there, it's okay. Like the whole point of this journey is to deeply connect with ourselves. If there's a day that that heart feels fuchsia, like rock that fuchsia. That's beautiful. Own that. So using color in that way is more just for the understanding it's always the same light. We just use the different symbols for different intentions. We have that is specific for supporting and balancing mental and emotional. Then there's for supporting and transcending all time and space. So we're able to do, that's what allows us, if we wanted to do a session right now, we would be able to do that in a way where you feel like I was right there in the room with you. And we have symbols that support us in being able to connect with energy around the world, things of that nature.
I think that's a good timing to ask you if a person never ever have been exposed to Reiki, how would you explain that?
Yeah. Fortunately, I've had a lot of practice with this one. There's a way of thinking of Reiki as a massage for your energy body. So laying down, just keep your clothes on and like just the less you do, the better you are at it. It's really a process of just allowing and observing and allowing us to do what needs to happen. What's happening is Reiki, it's two Japanese words brought together. Rei, REI, which means universal life force, and then ki, which is energy, chi, prana, bringing it together to universal life force energy. We flood it through the system and it helps us to light up the field and be able to see, oh, okay, that needs to go, that's stagnant, and be able to clear some things that are in there that's not allowing mind, body, and spirit to be fully elevated. And so it allows us to help massage things out. Sometimes people tell me they feel like shook out the rug and just, okay, let's just do a deep spring cleaning and then come back feeling much more light and clear.
What you said really reminds me of Tai Chi, which is a very old art as well. And I would say it has few steps when you want to learn it. First, you learn the movement, and then you forget the movement. Then you learn the breath, you forget the breath. And then you learn how the energy works, and you forget how the energy works. And then all you have to do is not to interfere with the process and allow things to happen when they need to happen. So that is something very beautiful for me, and it resonates very deeply with me. And I know that Headspace also supports people that are wanting to let go of what no longer serves them and stepping into their own power. Do you have stories of students or your clients that really did step into the power and activated their healing abilities and underwent those significant transformation through your Headspace Reiki programs?
Ah, I love it because I always say, and I tell practitioners when they go to level 2, it's never us. I'm not doing anything. A healer never heals anybody else. A healer is someone who's learned how to heal themselves and they're able to support and facilitate someone else facilitating healing in their connection with God themselves. So it's always beautiful and like a privilege to be a part of witnessing people step into that and the transformation that happens and just warms my heart. I shouldn't have favorites, but a favorite, actually, Ashley, who is now a practitioner on the Heartspace site. We met at a retreat I was facilitating, and she said, I know we're meant to work together at some time in some place. And then she reached out a few months later and was like, Reiki's on my heart to do. And through her level 1, the growth and the awareness of pouring into herself and that self-love and deeper connections with Jesus and the other different things of her coming more into her authentic self. And it's so clear. She's, I don't know if we're going to do level 2 in practitionership. This happens often by the end of the 21-day journey, because training is that you have received the knowledge, the energetic change, and then it's 21 days of applying the knowledge through experience to accrue the wisdom and the embodiment of the energy, immediately knowing practitionership was for her. And it's been this beautiful journey of watching her blossom to, she's a powerful healer. And the sessions I read reviews and feedback from people, she holds a powerful space. And she's now also working with me. It's not on the Heartspace sites, it's a different venture, but I help healers and spiritual entrepreneurs to build more of the business side of things. And a lot of people don't have that business acumen yet, which has been a different life path. And I went to school for business. God led me into the space for that. I've been an entrepreneur since 21 years old. So supporting and building that, so seeing her prepare to launch her shadow work container. And it's been beautiful to see the rapid growth of her be like, I'm here to serve, and her level of devotion and power and her supporting other people. It's definitely one of my favorites.
I love that. In the end, we are just vessels for that universal power that flows through us. And I strongly do believe if a healer is using his own energy, that would impact his lifespan and decrease it. You mentioned Jesus, you mentioned God. Could you tell us how following the guidance of God influence your decision and the direction that you make on your journey, both personal and headspace growth?
Question. One of my favorites. My relationship with the being we know as Jesus, Rabbi Yeshua ben Joseph, before we name changed him up here in the world, I began to have very personal connections and interactions with him in the flesh, starting at 5 years old. I was the weird kid where was it running into my parents' room about monsters under the bed. It was me freaking out because Jesus was in my closet again and he wouldn't let me sleep. But in time, I grew to understand and grew comfortable and felt safe and formed a really deep personal connection with him and have always felt him present with me. Then when learning more, like it makes sense of seeing that within the healing arts. God is my number one, or something that I have learned in my lens. And I'm someone where I love sitting in a conversation with people who don't agree with my perspective and being able to have conversations with it. So as I share this to anyone, take what resonates and leave the rest. For me, it's been such a deepening of connection of that's father, Earth Mother, and God is my father and a provider. And it's always looking out for me. So the more I can really submit and go for guidance of what's the best way? How should I navigate this? Or give me the idea. Like, how do you want me to serve? Things always come together. I woke up on Sunday morning. I was told, get to Costa Rica within 48 hours. My butt was on a plane at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here, but okay. And while I was there, it was just, cool. You are to do a retreat here. It's called Rooted and Rising. It's to support leaders and healers get clear on their vision and create a roadmap. It's the more I listen and be okay with if I tune in and ask something and getting a no. Like,
I
don't,
love that. I love that. I really do. I like to say that once you allow yourself to become a puppet in the hands of God, you can also become a puppeteer of your own destiny. And
Mm.
I know that you work with people across the globe. You have students pretty much everywhere. Could you tell me, how do you maintain this sense of community and co-creation with Headspace, with such a diverse and global network?
Yeah, I think that puppeteer puppet thing, I love that. I'm gonna be chewing on that later. I still want that comment to just go on the slide for a moment. Like, that was gold, y'all. So good. I think it brings kind of full circle of how we're talking before, right? Of like, yeah, the internet and the land of distraction, static can be such a challenging part of our experience at this, time of great transition. But what an amazing tool. Yeah, to be able to bring a group together when I'm running, any of the programs, there's always at least two different countries there. To have people in Kuwait and Australia and the US all together at one time is that sense of utilizing technology. It's like the obsidian knife, right? It's not about the actual tool, it's how it's used. So using that, and for me, it's also I genuinely care about people. They come into my life like, I love you. Reaching, I had someone I worked with briefly. Hey, like, I know you have an apartment in New York. Is it available? Are you renting it out? I was like, I am, but if you're in a bind, let me know. I'm sure there's a count and we'll make sure I'll tell them it's fine. You can get in there. It's fine. I can rent somewhere. If you're good and you're safe, I will provide whatever I can to you. And that's in this world of so much AI and tech. That's the difference of the heart space. You can feel it. Is someone really here? Is the genuine care and love here? Where it's not like community is, I have your back and you have mine. And we're committing to doing this life thing together. And it takes consistency and communication and radical authenticity. And those are really the pillars that we stand by and create opportunities for people to connect through various platforms.
How can you step into this zone where you foster those traits with embracing authenticity, knowing that all of us humans have that shadow lurking in the background, always ready to take over?
I just had an image of something like in a trench coat, like a little hood. That's a golden question. You're good at this. You should do a podcast or something. Yeah, good question. Authenticity, when we look at the frequencies of the scale, there's Dr. Hawkins' emotional scale of consciousness is an amazing tool and a visual for anyone if they want to look at that, where it starts to look at the different emotions in which we could be feeling and can see more of the contracted state emotions and more the elevated, expanded emotions where we can be. And what I think is fascinating is authenticity actually is vibrating even higher than
Hmm.
then I have to think about it makes sense. There has to be such a deep love of self and an acceptance to be able to rock the authenticity. We can go into there's layers of inner work and reprogramming and rewiring of the subconscious mind of that our little friend in the trench coat we're talking about ready to attack to try to keep us safe. And a process of getting clear of what did we experience from ages 0 to 11 that is coming up and telling us don't go that way. It's not safe, or I'm not enough, or don't do that. People are going to think you're weird, or that you need to be accepted in that herd mentality. So there's possibly we can do with that. And just a gem of something that was like a dunk for me at one point was going back to God of the space of like, we were made by design. We're doing a creator If the more we can be completely who we are, the most full expression of our wholeness, that is an honoring of the creation that we are. And it will allow us to fulfill whatever call and destiny has been planted in our heart. I'll just speak of me. So, whatever my mission is here, this lifetime, I am completely built inside and out exactly how I need to be when operating at full throttle expression to fulfill the mission. And I think that just honestly gave me a relief. I was like, oh, that's right. The more I'm just like actually who I am through and through, the easier life will be because I'll be doing what I was made by design to do. And then we get to go into the actual, okay, how do you do that of our inner work and remembering and rewire?
Just realized when listening to you talk that authenticity is a show of ultimate love because you accept yourself as you are. And I also do believe that God or nature doesn't make any mistake. Everything between heaven and earth is perfect. So once you embrace that, you become one with the universe, and the power of the universe is within your grasp. But if you're fighting, you're only yourself. And that is a big difference. That is like being one single grain of sand on the desert instead to be the power of the sandstone. I have a question about those that aspire to be healers. How could they begin their journey and prepare themselves to step into the power?
Yeah. So this is my ML, I'll give them more of a macro than a micro for y'all. Okay. You want to be a healer? Congratulations. You just went through initiation. You're a healer. So that first reminder, y'all, let's take a deep breath and take some pressure off. A healer is simply someone who has learned how to heal themselves or allow God to use them and allow healing. We all have an ability to be a healer. So we're all medicine for one another in different ways. Some of us came in with a call and a mission on our heart of, okay, you're to be on the front line and to be facilitating healing work and to be doing that. And so I don't discredit that. Just for everyone, the reminder of if you're doing your inner work and you're kind and you're loving and you can hold a compassionate space for somebody, you're a healer. It's being able to have love for self and love for others. If you're hearing the call within yourself of a deeper, I'm here to study the healing art and to go into those spaces. Oh, a few things I can say is make sure you're staying hydrated. Seems so silly and such a simple one, but stay hydrated because there's already shifts happening in your own inner world. And it's going to support in keeping you hydrated to receive the guidance, to be able to keep your energy system priming. Because as we step into the healing arts, we're going to go through series of initiations of learning how to hold new frequencies that are at a higher state of being. That is what allows us to support and transmit someone who may be feeling a little down in the dumps, where we can help lift them with those frequencies. So we want our channel to be clear, strong. You can have six pack and matcha, do your thing, but just a strong body. And then invitation to be in prayer. If you hear that call, pray for the right teacher to be put into your path. And as you allow a teacher to come, they will show up, y'all. They will show up. That's one thing where people be like, okay, cool. We'll use Reiki specific. I want to learn Reiki. And then going on Udemy and buying a Reiki master course for $22. Choose your path, do your thing. And that's the going out and seeking. Where if you're hearing the calling, there's an opportunity to shift deeper into that. I hear it. I accept the mission. Send me who and what is needed. If there's one thing I know that I can say, I know it will show up. And that would be those steps, I'd say.
You're mentioning so many golden nuggets that I don't know what to ask, but it seems that God has plan for every one of us. And it's about embracing that plan that allows us to be on the stage and acting in front of everyone else. You mentioned two things that I actually want to ask. It's about modalities and it's about hydration. So let's speak about modalities first. Have you experienced with any other modality apart from Reiki?
Oh, yeah. The medicine bag goes deep. I was led deep into the study of cacao and study with Mayan elders and went through a very deep, powerful initiation with them in 2017. As I mentioned loosely before, I've been an apprentice with an indigenous elder for the last 4 years, doing a lot of hands-on healing work and more in the space of the healing arts and working with the unseen. We'll keep it simple and say it that way. Different techniques, frequencies, and tools of that nature that's not specific to Reiki. I've done Kundalini yoga trainings, and the medicine bag goes deep. In its neurolinguistic programming and subconscious rewiring, honestly, I would love to see everyone in the whole world go through a Reiki level 1 attunement and a neurolinguistic programming training. I feel like if everyone did that, we would all be like, okay, we got this.
We can relax.
We can okay, that's right. God got us, and the power of our words, our intentions and our words are creating our reality. So let's change the words we speak so we can put the energetic path into what's desired.
Yeah, in the end, what surrounds us, our environment, is results of our poor thoughts and emotions. So the language you use is a really big thing. But many times we just lack the awareness to be present in the moment and to understand that we are consciously or unconsciously co-creating our environment at all the times. Now, about the hydration. Now, this is a theory of mine that I found observing people, that if you fight your thoughts or your emotions, and that comes from this analogy that I like to use, that if you put two people in the room, one of them is addicted to sugar and wants to quit, the other one is a regular person. And just for an experiment, if you put a cake in front of them, the person that is not addicted to sugar, it doesn't really matter to that person if he eats the cake or not. It's just whatever. But for the person that is addicted and wants to quit, he would be fighting his internal demons for all the time. He would be sweating like he would just run a marathon. And that led me to believe that once you fight yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, that replenishes the fluids in the body, because there is friction between you, your thoughts, and the universe. And that friction causes heat. That heat causes dehydration. And that dehydration at one step in our journey is called burnout, because there is so much heat and so there's not enough fluids to support that. I'm wondering if you ever thought about this way.
Not in this way. No, I love this. This is the beauty of us all coming together and having these conversations. I love that. Yeah, it's great.
So, can you tell me, since your headspace grows and evolves, it seems constantly, how do you stay true to your original vision while adapting to the needs that are constantly changing of your community?
Yeah, something I appreciate so much of being told to call it the heart space. It's so, the question is so, again, micro, macro. Also brings not only of changes of the community and staying true to the vision, it's also within myself as I continue to who I am today versus who I was in 2016. Oh my goodness, I'm a radically different person. So as my heart space continues to grow and evolve and expand, there's also that, okay, how do I differentiate what is Kelly Keefe that she wants to bring into the world and what is for the heart space? That's actually been a huge part of the last year and a half. I started to realize some of the offerings, things that have been moving through me. I was trying to put into the heart space and I could feel, I look at businesses that we birth into the world as their own, there's its own consciousness. It's a baby that comes into the world and we're just here to help it grow into what it's here to be. And I could feel this resistance and almost a resentment happening. I had to sit with it and be like, what is going on? It's like, you're trying to make me something other than what I am. The heart space is for the healing arts and bringing it here. Everything else that I'm up to, the business coaching, this leadership coaching, leadership development, all that is another entity, and having to start to really separate them. So one of the more tangibles, if someone's okay, but how would I continue to do this? I like to have tea with the heart space. So first, people don't get confused with the business, with the creation, with the organization, whatever it is out there, and literally bring a cup of tea and invite it. And remember, it's not me. I'm a steward of whatever's coming through and asking, who are you? What do you need? What do you want to be bringing into the world right now? Am I doing right by you? I'm here to serve the organization. It chose me. And it's
Mm.
okay, I can help bring you in. It's just like a baby. Okay, I'll bring you into the world and I'll help you grow into whatever it is you want to be, and do my very best to not get in the way of what I think you're supposed to be. Just continue to allow you to grow and evolve into who you're here to be. And without really having to say, okay, how are we going to grow and shift? The collect and those who are around, they make it known what's needed to be able to serve and to provide in those ways. And then God would also give like the blast of a do this and say, okay, cool, got you.
I suppose this is a way to keep balance between the spiritual guidance and making a practical business decision. But what about those situations where there is a conflict in the community?
I'm a weirdo that I'm so okay with conflict and conflict resolution, where when we remember there's 4 stages to any relation development: form it, storm it, norm it, perform it. And so anytime finding in the storm it place, like knowing that, okay, it's just natural. It's a part of what's going to happen when humans come together. If we look in the animal kingdom, it
Mm.
happens even when the thing of ducks are together. And what do? They shake it off, they norm it, and they get back to waddling and doing their thing. So starting to step out of resing conflict is not more than it needs to be. It's often miscommunication. Somewhere along the way, there's somewhere of a miscommunication. So being able to facilitate that space of what is the intention of this conversation? It's to have a better understanding of one another, to be able to grow in love and to get back to a harmonious state and deeper understanding. And then being able to have those conversations with clear communication, say, the storm, it's normal. That's good. That means we're growing and there's a friction and that we're actually creating something that will then allow for the space of norm. So a lot of nonviolent communication and conflict resolution and conscious communication. It's anyone wants to make notes of, I'm going to go get some skill sets to do that.
So the problem is not a problem. The perception of a problem is the problem. And I like what you're saying, because if you ask God for growth or strength, will He give you growth and strength, or will He give you opportunities and challenges that will make you strong and make you grow? I believe that's the latter. And I'm curious, what are some your challenges that you have faced on your journey, and how did you overcome them?
I like to say advanced healer, advanced soul curriculum. I've had, there's not too much that can come through my door of someone have experienced something, going through some sort of challenge, that I can't have a deep level of compassion for, because I've gone through it myself, or I've had someone very close to me go through it. I grew up in a very challenging home with a lot of adversity, where the dramas and the adversity still goes till this day. And having to, one, bring resolve to my little one through all of that, I learned how to reparent myself, to be able to provide what's needed for myself to be a whole human and feel peace within my own inner mother, father, and child. And with that brings us back to the authenticity piece of it. It's in the world at large. When I received the message, it was not as popular as it is today. And just showing up and people be like, you do what? What are you doing? And it's like owning it. And family being like, what are you doing? Go be normal. Go get a job, this and that. So overcoming a lot of the pushback on following the dreams and being my authentic self, because I was challenging a lot of people if I was pushing buttons of this is not normal. And I was like, thank goodness I'm not normal. Normal's boring. So a lot of pushback in that, but you name it, huge overcoming my relationship with like scarcity, very unhealthy relationship. You name it, it's probably here. And that's something where I appreciate that we remember humans, especially those who more out in the world and like deep healing world, like they probably transmuted quite a bit. So it's all possible to overcome.
Yeah, I believe that business people, when they go out to the world with their ideas and they are executing them, the reason why they do that in the first place, because they want to prove their worth to the world. And when you need to prove something, most likely you don't have it in the first place. That is what I. So that is why there is this initial process of grinding. Because if you had that worth, you would only focus on activities that are worthy and would bring you more worth. But this is not only about the end goal, but about the journey itself. Because I believe all flowers bloom in due time. And when you force a flower to bloom, it might stop being a flower, which is a creative process. And I'm wondering, how does creativity impact your spiritual growth, your personal growth, and how can we encourage others to be more creative?
Creativity is God in motion and in physical form. For me, the healing arts, it's the creative channel of things. When I'm not creating, I can feel it. I get
Mm,
stagnant, I get cranky. It's a really big movement. I make music, some music out in the world. I've written a few books. I actually have a novel coming out early next year, which is really exciting. Where I've noticed that for me, it helps in processing what's happening in my world and make beauty out of it. But it also strengthens the
mm,
connection to God and that channel.
mm.
Because if you think about it, it's the art of creating something out of nothing. And where do
Yeah.
the ideas of what we create come from? It's that opening and allowing it to flow through.
Let's go beyond professional life for a few moments. You mentioned making music. What other activities bring you the most joy and contribute to your growth as a human being?
Writing, for sure. I mean, a lot of the arts. As a kid, they say if you want to have full fulfillment, go back and think about what you were doing from like ages 5 to 8 and start doing those things more. I was telling stand up jokes to my entire school. I was writing my first chapter book and singing and making fashion lines. Like I've always been an artist through and through. And when I'm not plugging away at things, you'll usually find me sitting in nature just very quietly, just being. I always say, I'm just pretty much a flower. Just give me good music, sunshine, and water, and like nature around me, and I'm happy. It really is pretty simple to keep me pretty content and happy.
I like to say that in order to thrive, we need to provide the minimal amount required of food, spiritual activities, and movement. If you eat too much food, you're gonna be fat and lazy. But if you eat not enough amount of food, you're not gonna have energy to do the work that is required to be done. And about the work that is required to be done, what are your future plans and goals for the space that is already making such a significant impact?
What I can see right now, or the plans that have been revealed to me in time, and I don't know the timeline on it. Yeah. In time, there will be a campus, at least one, of a tangible place where we're not gathering here, but being able to say, okay, like I'm going to the heart and being able to retreat there and to be there. And blueprints have been made and it's beautiful, but really continuing to activate these spaces for that. And in the meantime, just continuing to keep the space there for people to step into receiving support in their healing journey or stepping into the path of becoming a healer and yeah, just being loved.
I love that. Now, I understand that I've learned so much just talking to you, but I would be curious, what is some of your most surprising or unexpected lesson that you have learned since founding the Headspace?
I don't know if it's a surprising one. I think it's always surprising to me to see how much the lesson is still here for me to grow with. Where I'm like, oh, this is a core soul, like it's a core soul curriculum for me this lifetime. This is the art of patience. If there's one place in my human journey where my human can come out, it's patience in the timing of God's timing of things, or me trying to rush along a project or a collaboration and it going sideways. For me, it's that ongoing, girl, we are on nature time. When someone plants a flower, they do not say, okay, you have 3 weeks to sprout or it's done. It's nature time. Relax, be
Yeah.
patient. Hands down, that's the ongoing one where I'm like, I think it'll look better. And then
Yeah.
then the trench coat will come back out.
Nature never rushes, right? Yet everything is always done on time. And from traditional Chinese medicine perspective, the hastiness, which is completely opposite to patience, it's actually a negative emotion of the heart. And I do struggle with being impatient as well. So I have to ask, what are your some tips to be patient?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I have been continuing to remind myself is really what we're saying here. Reminding myself where wisdom is accrued through experience. Beginning to have enough experience of, hey, when you aren't patient or try to rush something, get it through your noggin. It doesn't work. Accruing that wisdom to begin to notice when I'm doing that and be like, don't go down that path again. Don't,
Mm,
learn the lesson. So for me, it's continuing to observe when I am getting into that state and be able to tell my tendencies and where am I getting a little bit snippy towards something or my thoughts around something starts to change. And like, that's impatience rather than, okay, going to be what it's going to be. And wusa. And for me, when I'm in the state of impatience, because I honor the emotion. Okay, why do I feel impatient? Typically, it comes from a space of because I really care. I'm really excited about something, or I really care about this and I really want it. Beautiful. Can we honor that emotion that is being felt there and be with the emotion? Just honor that rather than act on it.
mm.
Okay, cool. I hear you that you really want that. And that's like really exciting to you and you can't wait for it. And then flipping it to, I'm so excited for when that happens. And I try and then go take a walk, drink some water.
I love that. I really do. I think honoring emotion, embracing the emotion is part of the growth because if we allow ourselves to run away from the emotion or distract ourselves with environment, that emotion is going to go deeper into our body instead of just dissolving and passing by. Now we would be forced to carrying that emotion in us till the time we are able to confront it. And emotions are usually very heavy. And it seems like this analogy that I like to use when you go on a hike on Sunday morning with your family, instead of enjoying the hike, you start to collect the rocks that are on the side of the road and you get
Mhm.
them into your backpack. And eventually, your backpack is so heavy that you cannot move at all. Instead of enjoying the journey, you just sit at the bottom of the mountain and complain at everything. And this is very similar when we, instead of honoring those emotions, we either judge them, we run away from them. And in many cases, when the emotion is big enough, it can cause trauma. And trauma itself is like this invisible nail that we have in our food that we don't see, we cannot take it out, but it impacts us greatly. Sooner or later, it will impact how we walk. It would impact our posture. We would be limping and dragging that food behind us. And the brain wants to protect us from the pain, right? So it would create layers of the mind saying that this is perfectly normal. This is how all humans should walk. And in fact, those people that walk boldly, have their heads high up, there is something definitely wrong with them. They are bad people because humans don't walk like that. When we run away from emotion can cause so many great challenges. Now, again, I know I learned a lot from you. Like my way of living is letting go of attachment. And I wanted to go to vacation to study deeply Tai Chi. But now I'm wondering because when you ask for something of the universe, you are so obsessed with it and attached that you don't see other opportunities that might be even better. And I'm just wondering to myself, perhaps I should become a Reiki instructor as well and do the Reiki course one, because this is very intriguing. Now, unfortunately, our time is running out, Kali. Could you tell us if what you're saying resonates with you, and if they would like to know more about you or even work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to the website and go through the contact us. It's a great way. I'll hit into the inboxes of the team and find its way where it needs to go, which is www.heartspace.co. And you can also, if you're on Instagram, you can go there. And my personal is I am Kelly Keefe. And always happy. You can give me a follow and DM me. Let me know you heard me here and love to connect with you directly. And through there, you can find the Heartspace Instagram. But if you want to connect with me personally, that's the route to go.
Amazing. All of those links are underneath this video. So be sure to show Kali some love and stay tuned for another episode. And thank you all for listening.